This is a higher dimensional communication-based framework for dimensional access, temporal information, and the zero-point field. This extends my higher dimensional communication theory into a dimensional and temporal framework, proposing that perception of higher dimensions is not achieved through physical displacement, but through consciousness-based informational access. So within this model, higher dimensions are treated as informational spaces that coexist with three-dimensional space-time and become perceptible only through specific states of consciousness. The zero-point field, or ZPF, is conceptualized as an energetic substrate that permits access without encoding meaning. So, phenomena such as future event perception, apparent precognition, and time-related anomalies are interpreted as forms of temporal remote viewing, structurally analogous to spatial remote viewing within the HDC frame. Classical physics constrains perception to three spatial dimensions and linear time. However, higher dimensional models are well established mathematically in theoretical physics, including string theory and cosmological extensions of space-time. Despite this, human perception remains limited to a narrow sensory bandwidth. Reports of non-local perception, such as intuitive foresight, symbolic visions, and temporal anticipation, suggest that consciousness may access information that's not confined to immediate spacetime coordinates. My higher dimensional communication theory, or HDC theory, provides a structured framework for examining these phenomena without invoking physical time travel or supernatural mechanisms. The dimensional ontology in the HDC framework is 1. Dimensions as informational space. So within HDC, higher dimensions are not defined as physically traversable locations, but as informational manifolds that contain relational data across space-time. They are inaccessible to sensory perception, they are not bound by linear temporal constraints, and they intersect 3D space-time informationally, not materially. And this aligns with theoretical models where higher dimensions influence observable physics without direct detectability. And 2, accessibility constraints. So HDC posits that physical systems are constrained to 3D space-time, that consciousness is not strictly spatially localized, and that informational access does not require physical motion. Thus, higher dimensional access occurs through perception, not displacement. In HDC theory, consciousness functions as a dimensional interface, analogous to a decoder rather than a traveler. This interface samples informational states beyond local space-time. It translates higher dimensional patterns into symbolic cognition, and it operates probabilistically rather than deterministically. This mechanism mirrors the structure of remote viewing, where spatial distance does not impede information access. Perceiving a higher dimension within HDC follows the same structure as remote viewing. It is the same structural equivalence. So, perceiving higher dimensions is operationally equivalent to viewing non-local informational targets. And because higher dimensional information exceeds cognitive bandwidth, it is compressed into geometry, archetypes, light-based imagery, and nonverbal knowing. This is the symbolic compression. And these outputs are not literal representations, but low-dimensional projections. Time as an informational dimension, so time beyond linearity. In HDC, time is treated as a coordinate of informational organization. It is nonlinear at higher dimensional levels, and it's experienced linearly only in 3D space-time. So higher dimensional informational spaces may contain multiple potential temporal trajectories simultaneously. Perception of future events is interpreted as access to probabilistic informational states associated with future outcomes, not observation on fixed events. This process resembles temporal remote viewing, where consciousness decodes informational patterns linked to high probability futures. Within HDC, the formal definition of precognition is the non-local decoding of probabilistic future informational states through consciousness. Key characteristics would be outcomes are symbolic, not exact. Accuracy increases with emotional neutrality, and events are perceived as tendencies, not certainties. This avoids paradoxes associated with deterministic time travel. Time travel reframed as non-physical. What HDC does not claim is physical movement through time, alteration of past events, or causal paradox violations. It's informational time access. So HDC reframes time travel as informational sampling of non-present temporal states. It reframes time travel as consciousness accessing time-indexed data with no physical relocation required. And this aligns with block universe and many worlds compatible interpretations without asserting their literal truth. The role of the zero-point field within this framework would be the ZPF provides energetic permissibility. It enables non-local informational coherence, and it does not store memory or meaning. The ZPF functions as a background condition that allows consciousness-based access without mediating content. Perceiving higher dimensions, future outcomes, or non-local targets are different orientations of the same interface. Boundary conditions and scientific disciplines have been applied to avoid overextension. So subjective perception does not equal empirical validation. Symbolic accuracy does not equal literal truth, and probabilities does not equal certainties. Psychological grounding is also essential. HDC remains a conceptual framework, not a claim of physical law. Implications within this model provides a non-supernatural account of higher dimensional perception. It provides a unified explanation for remote viewing and temporal intuition. It provides a framework compatible with physics without violating causality. And it provides a disciplined language for anomalous cognitions. In conclusion, within the higher dimensional communication theory, perceiving higher dimensions is not a mystical anomaly, but an informational decoding process analogous to remote viewing, extended across space and time. Consciousness acts as the access point, the zero-point field as the permissive substrate, and symbolic cognition as the translation layer. Apparent foresight and temporal perception arise from probabilistic informational access rather than physical time travel, preserving scientific coherence while expanding the conceptual boundaries of perception.